All right, shalom, shalom. We up live here with the Israelite School Universal Practical Knowledge Biblical Scripture Breakdown class. You understand? Getting into it. So-called blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans, we God's chosen people. You understand? And these records in the Bible that the Lord left us are to bring us up, to teach us how to obey the Most High. And we're in Abraham's story, covering our records, covering what happened. Of course, we were reading out of Hebrews, the 11th chapter, talking about the warfare that it takes to serve the Most High. Our forefather Abraham did a very brave and courageous thing, a very brave and courageous thing that he did, so that we could have our nation for a covenant that the Most High had established with him. And this covenant he passed down to his children because of the Most High honoring the agreement that he made. The word covenant just means agreement. You understand? It's a contract, it's an agreement, and that's what the Most High only made with our people, only made with Abraham. And then that covenant was passed to Isaac and then to Jacob. All right. So that's where we are. Now we're gonna start at Hebrews chapter 11 and verse 8, and then we're gonna go back to Genesis. All right. The Hebrews chapter 11, verse 8. All right, you got young man. All right, young man Jonathan, you go ahead and read Hebrews 11 and verse 8. This is like God, Hebrews 11 and 8. We're going to go ahead and read. Still dark there. All right.
And
Come, no sweat. No sweat. And what the Lord was saying, what the Lord has been trying to show us, that his way, he had an entire life, a plan, and a system that was already laid out for us. This struggle of what life became only came about because we disobeyed the Most High. It only came about because we did not do what the Most High said. The Most High gave us orders, he gave us commandments, and we as a people chose to not follow them. We chose to do some other way, other lifestyles. You understand? And that caused the blessings that the Lord had set up in store for us. That caused the blessings to turn into curses, which is what we are under now, and we are fighting. That's why we're learning about our forefather Abraham, to get back to our culture, to get back to our heritage, to get back to wearing our beards, to get back to eating our diets and celebrating the Lord's high holy days. You understand? All right, you ready, brother? You got it? Hebrews 11 and 8.
yes, sir.
Come on, go ahead. Hebrews chapter 11 and verse 8. You can go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Hebrews 11 and 8. I think you may have hit me by accident.
By faith, Abraham, when he was called to go out into the place which he should after receive for an inheritance, obeyed, and he went out, not knowing whither he went.
Like this
By
is
faith,
talking about Abraham. Exactly. He got an inheritance. That's the wild, brother. Most High in Christ. He got an inheritance. He didn't know where he was going. The Most High didn't tell him, like, you're going to get on I-95 and you're going to take 95 south and you're going to go all the way down to Raleigh, Durham, and then you're going to go there and keep going till you hit Decatur. He didn't give him specific instructions. The instructions that the Most High gave, we're going to recap and then we're going to get back to where we left off. The instructions that the Most High gave to Abraham. He said, you leave and get away from your family, from your land, and then I'm going to make you a great nation. I'm going to establish a covenant with you. He didn't explain the details to the covenant. He didn't break everything down about how it was going to be done. He didn't tell him what was the budget for the trip and the journey. He didn't do any of that. He just told him, he said, leave your place where you are, and then I'm going to make you a great nation. You follow me. That's what he told him. All right. So that was the faith. You understand? Of course, unlike now, Abraham did not have a Bible to read and learn about the Most High. That's why it was so amazing what our forefather Abraham did. He didn't have the book of and the records of Adam. He didn't have Genesis. He didn't have Exodus and the story of Noah. You understand? He didn't have Moses and Joshua and a nation. He didn't have any of those things. He just got a promise. And the Most High appeared to him and gave him that promise and said, you just go. And he took it by faith and obeyed the Most High. You understand? And the Christian church manipulates our people's faith into believing in something that is not actually what's in the Bible. That's why it's so important that we learn from the things that's written aforetime, that we learn from our forefathers, that we learn from our records. So he said, by faith, he did that. Now go ahead and give me verse 9. Bubba Shaw, read verse 9. You got Hebrews chapter 11, and now go ahead and read verse 9. You still up? I think your reception might have froze, brother. You still there? All right, no sweat. No sweat. We're going to keep it going. Genesis chapter 11 and verse 9. Okay. Hebrews chapter 11 and verse 9, it says, by faith. This is what the faith is based on. These records of our forefathers are so very important. You understand? Who knows if the Most High could have went to another brother and that brother did not obey the Most High. Now, the Bible does not say that. It doesn't say that. It's only telling you the records about Abraham. Abraham was not the only man on the planet, but the Bible say the Lord goes about seeking whom he can show himself strong in. Understands? Be in 2 Kings.
2 Kings.
No, I want you to read Hebrews chapter 11 and 9. You had gotten cut off. It seems like you might be back.
Okay.
I think it might be your reception breaking up, going in and out. Hey, shalom. Y'all by Shemal Shabrakatah, not Tazal, Most High in Christ.
Shalom. Okay. Hebrews 11, chapter 9. By faith he sojourned in the land of promise, as in a strange country, dwelling in tabernacles with Isaac, Jacob, the heirs with him of the same promise.
Right. It says by faith he sojourned. He traveled in the land of promise. The land wasn't his, but he had a promise. You understand? And he took the Most High's word by faith and obeyed what the Most High said. He didn't have all the details and everything, but he knew that the Lord gave him a promise. And he went out and he stood on faith. He obeyed the Most High, and he did not know. He didn't have all the details and everything figured out. You understand? When you come into the truth to serve the Most High, don't expect to know and understand everything and try to reason and make sense of everything. You understand? Our people come, and a lot of times, because of the Christian church and because of religions that our people have no business in, like Islam and Christianity and Rastafarianism, we've learned a lot of things that were for Shalaki, that the other nations of people created to make themselves important. Stories and things that they've stolen from the Bible, from our records, to try to make themselves some sort of relevancy to the power that the Most High gave to his chosen people, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Heathens use that to try to make something for themselves. You understand? And our people are coming from a knowledge base of understanding things about the Bible, not actually understanding the Bible, but understanding things about the Bible as a Christian. Even the Muslims believe in the Bible the same way that a Christian does, which is not at all. They believe naked white babies with wings. They believe you're going to die and live in some paradise or die and get some torment forever. You understand? They believe that God loves everybody and everybody is equal, and it's all a bunch of fairy tales and nonsense. None of that stuff is real. You don't die and get a bunch of virgins, and you don't die and go see your grandmama and all your cousins and friends. Like, none of that is real. All of that is Roman mythology that they created up during the Renaissance period. None of that was ever actually what was written in the Bible. Hey, Shalom, Yahweh Shemala, Thashim Yahushua. You understand? He took it by faith. That's why we're still talking about Abraham thousands and thousands of years later. You understand? Like, he traveled in the land of promise. It was a strange country. This was not someplace that he knew everybody. He didn't know the people there. You understand? We covered the story where he went through the land of Gerar, and he was afraid because the people of Gerar were known for murdering the husbands and then taking the wives of the men that they just murdered. So he said that Sarah, who was his wife, he told her to say that she is his sister, because he learned that Gerar was a very evil and a wicked place. And he was afraid of the evil and wickedness because he did not have all the instructions. He didn't know who these people were. He knew they had a reputation, and he also did not know the power of the Most High. And by him not knowing the power of the Most High, the Lord understood this, and even though he told them that this was my sister, the Lord still mightily held up his end of the deal and plagued all of the house and the servants of that Egyptian because, or for the sake of Abraham. Like, he got his hand. Abraham's a made man. He's looking out for Abraham because he got a covenant. He's working in agreement with him to pass to his children for the generations to come. This is exactly what Paul and all the schools that were set up in the New Testament, this is what they were being taught in the schools, in Pontus and Galatia, in Philippi and Ephesus and Colossia and Thessalonica. You understand? Those are all the names of the books in the New Testament because those are the cities where he set up schools, and this is what he was teaching the brothers and sisters in those schools. The same way Commander General Yohana raised up captains and officers to go to different cities, states, and countries to teach them the exact same things that Paul and the disciples was teaching brothers and sisters in the New Testament about our heritage of the Old Testament and what it means to serve the Most High so that we can learn. All right. So that's what Genesis, you understand? I mean, Salaki, that's what Hebrews, the 11th chapter, was talking about. All right. So now we're going to go back to Genesis and pick up where we left off from that story. But the first thing we're going to go to is Genesis chapter 12 and verse 1. We're going to go to Genesis chapter 12 and verse 1. All right. You said YouTube is going in and out. Okay, can everybody hear me on YouTube? Not the Zab. Anna, big brother said that YouTube is going in and out. Okay, let's just do this. Let's do a check right here. Everybody, if you can hear me, just give me a 1. Give me a 1 if everybody can hear me clearly. All right, if you can't hear me clearly, we might have to do something. But just give me a 1 if you can hear me clearly. All right. If I'm coming in clear, you can hear my voice, and I'm not breaking up and choppy, just give me a 1. Let me know. Give me a 1. All right. Let's check the broadcast. I'm not getting any 1s. Okay. So like it. Let's check it out. Let's take a look. Okay. Bear with just a moment. You tuning in and make sure everything's good and clear. All right. Share this on. Okay, there we go. Scripture breakdown. Make sure we're good and clear. Share this on. Okay, there we go. Scripture breakdown. All right, we sounding clear. Make sure. Okay, so I can hear. So give me 1. Okay, there we go. Scripture breakdown. All right, okay. Sounding clear. All right, everything is clear. Sounds good to go. Get some 1s there. Everybody just let me know if you can or can't hear me. Just let me know. 1 should be coming in. All right, 1s. Everybody good to go. All right, we're going to keep it going. All right. So that's what the Lord is saying, like by faith. Okay, Most High in Christ. Everybody, we good to go. The water, y'all. All right, so Hebrews chapter, Genesis chapter 12, and let's go to verse 1. Give me Genesis 12 and 1. Oh,
Con. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen.
Like faith is the substance. No, I say Genesis chapter 12 and verse 1. God, Genesis chapter 12 and verse 1. While you get there, that's correct. Faith is the substance of things hoped for. Like he hoped that this covenant that the Most High promised him. And because he hoped, he took it as evidence and he went on and obeyed the Most High. Like the Most High's word was good and credible. That's why it's very important what you say, that your word be credible. That's why the Bible says, let your yea be yea and your nay be nay. Your word is a very important thing, because we have so much lying, so much stories and fairy tales and all kind of nonsense in the Black, Hispanic, and Native American community. Because we have that, our people, we have a very big distrust for our people. You understand? We have so much distrust, all right, amongst our people. You understand? Because everybody's used to getting lied to. A bunch of stories, and starts when you're young. You get lied to, naked white babies with wings. You're gonna die and go live in some sandcastle in the sky. I love you no matter what. Next thing you know, you're getting beat to piss. All kind of horrible things going on. You're getting promises. Your family all broken up. Your daddy is gone. Your mama done took you away from your dad. The relationship between your parents then fall apart. You don't get the toys and this and that you promise. Everything, we just living in hell. And we learn that people's word is not good. And that has to change. That's something very important. That what you say, do. Otherwise, don't say it. Don't just say things to say them, which is what the Christian church does. You got to know why you're saying it, why you're saying yes, why you're saying no. Think before you speak. You understand? Think about what you can and can't do. There's a lot of wisdom and things like that in the Bible that aren't necessarily commandments, but they're things to make you wise. Like one of the scriptures in the Apocrypha says, be not surety above your power, S-U-R-T-E-Y or T-Y, depending on what version you're reading. It's an old English word. That means don't take out more than you can afford. Don't say if you can't afford this $500,000 something, if it's above your power and you cannot get this and you can't afford to pay for it or pay it back. It says don't be surety above your power. You understand? Don't bite off more than you can chew, trying to keep up or, all kind of stuff going on. That's not wise. Other wisdom, like don't sit at all with another man's woman. Stay away from somebody else's woman. Don't do that. You understand? Make sure you take a woman of your own nation. Don't marry another nation of people. Don't marry a heathen. You understand? Make sure that she's one of these 12 tribes. Or make sure that the man that you marry, your father is really supposed to make sure, if you are a woman, that brother that you are going to marry, he's an Israelite. That this man has the wisdom and the understanding of what it takes to have a family, to be a husband, to deal with and raise, train up a wife, and take care of his daughter. You understand? Not sit on all expense paid retreats and vacations, but to be able to correct her and lead her and protect and guide her the way that she needs. That only that father would really know and understand. That is the purpose. You understand? So there's a lot of things about wisdom in the Bible. You understand, that aren't necessarily commandments, but the laws and the records and the prophets that the Lord set up teach us the wisdom coming from the Most High, and the wisdom that they taught their sons, and the way that they raised their daughters, and how our communities and families are supposed to run and function. These things are all contained in the Bible, and that is why we are learning about our forefathers here, in particular this forefather Abraham. All right. So what we're going to do now, we're going to go to Genesis chapter 12 and verse 1. Give me Genesis 12 and 1.
Come. Now that the Lord had said unto Abram, get thee out thy country and from the kindred and from the father's house, and
Die from
unto
thy kindred. So slow it down
from
just a
thy
little.
from thy kindred and thy father's house, unto the land that I will shew thee.
That's correct. That's right. This is the promise. This is the covenant that Paul and Peter are teaching the brothers and sisters in the schools about in the New Testament. These are the records that they're teaching. Like the Christian church lies and says that the Old Testament is done away with. You don't have any need for the Old Testament. That's old. None of that is relevant. That's an absolute lie. It's extremely relevant. In fact, everything that from Christ to John to the Revelator to Paul to Peter to the disciples to Barnabas to Silas, everything that they were teaching in the New Testament was explaining all of the stories and lessons from the Old Testament. That's what made the New Testament. You understand? So that's
Uh,
absolutely not true. Am right. So he's saying, get out of your country, leave the place that you're familiar with, and get away from your thy kindred, your family. Get away from your family and from thy father's house, your father's relatives. Get out of your father's house, meaning you want to go and stand on your own, and I'm going to take you to a place where you are going to inherit. Like I'm going to do something new and something great with you. This is what the Lord started with Abraham. He started it with Adam, and then everybody failed, and then the flood came, and then from Noah's lineage, everybody came back from Noah's 3 sons. The earth is filled with people again. Genesis, the 11th chapter, the Tower of Babel is created. God changes everybody's language and then separates all people and divides them up into different families so that they all live separate places. They are no longer the same people or family anymore. The Lord again is further dividing the people from the lineage until we get to Abraham. And now he's severing Abraham from his father's house and lineage. And now he's going to make a new lineage to reestablish his chosen people, his royal seed on the earth again from Abraham's descendants, from his sons. All right. Now go ahead and give me verse 2 one more time. Verse 2 now.
Khan, and I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing.
Meaning, I'm going to make you a great nation. Like what I'm doing with you doesn't have anything to do with your father. Like we are now known by our fathers, but the Lord was establishing something new with Abraham. He established something brand new with Abraham that we did not have before. He said, your fathers, from Abraham, now he's going to be our forefather. Abraham's lineage is not important anymore. That's why he's saying, get away from your father, your family. What I'm getting ready to do with you doesn't have anything to do with your family. Doesn't have anything to do with your father, with their land, his people, their customs, their God. Get away from all of them. So when you become great and mighty, it'll only be because I am with you. It won't be because of anything that your forefathers, your cousins, your uncles, your daddy, your granddaddy, none of that. I will be your wealth and your power and your reputation, and you will be my reputation and bring my people into the earth. That's what the Lord is setting up. All right. So now, go ahead and give me verse 3.
Khan. Verse 3, I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curseth thee, and in shall all families of the earth be blessed.
He said, I'm going to curse them that curse you, which you would be reading about in the stories there. The other nations that blessed Abraham, the Lord blessed them. There were servants, there were people that were working there that served Abraham, that helped take care of his flocks. They helped him. You understand? They worked for him. They were employees. That does not mean that they now are going to get the inheritance that Abraham had. And that's an important thing to reiterate. And it's an important thing for our people to learn and know that just because another nation of people may help you or they're kind to you, you work with them, they make your coffee, they make your sandwich, they give you a job. like those things, that doesn't mean that now they're supposed to inherit your kingdom for your people. They don't inherit, your identity. They're not one with you just because someone showed you kindness or dealt fairly with you. You understand? And that's a very difficult concept for blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans to understand, because our people are in such hell and in such struggling and such suffering and poverty that whoever shows any bit of kindness, our people are damn near ready to give our entire soul over to them. You understand? For the sake of any sort of kindness, because of how hard everything is here. All right. So now what we are going to do, we're going to go and skip up to back where we were. Should be Genesis chapter 13, where we finished off the last class. Lot had moved from Abraham. Their servants were fighting. They were so blessed with camels and oxen and everything that they needed. They were so filled with all of their wealth and their riches that now they are fighting each other. So they have to separate. Lot takes his possessions, his camels, his tent, everything that's his, and his servants, and now he goes and moves away from where Abraham was. All right. So now we're going to go to Genesis chapter 13 and verse 11. We're going to start from there.
Genesis chapter 13, verse 11. Then Lot chose him of all the plain of Jordan, and Lot journeyed east, and they separated themselves the one from the other.
Right. This is Abraham and Lot separated. Lot went along for the journey. The instructions that the Most High gave to Abraham was to get away from thy country, thy father's house, and thy kindred. One of his kindred came along with him, Lot. Now Lot has to get separated to get away from the story, because Lot is not an essential part of the story. There's no covenant being made with Lot. The covenant is going to Abraham, but this is not magic. This isn't a Disney movie. It isn't Universal Studios or HBO. This isn't scripted. He brought his nephew. His nephew tagged along. The Lord said, leave your family and your father's house. He brought some family with him anyway. That was not what the Most High said to do. But hell, since Lot is here, this is what happened with Lot. Now Lot's moving. They have to separate. And now we're going to pick up from what's going on with Lot. So keep going, please.
Verse 12. Abram dwelt in the land of Canaan, and Lot dwelt in the cities of the plain, and pitched his tent towards Sodom.
Pitched his tent
Verse
towards Sodom. Sodom. You understand? That's why it's important to know where you're moving to. You understand? It's very important to know where you're moving to. You scope out the area, check the land, check the resources, check who lives in the neighborhood, do some background and investigation for you just up and roll and take all of your family and your possessions somewhere, and you could be moving into a very terrible or dangerous area, which is what Lot did. There's something to learn from. It's like, brother, you're not quite in front of the camera, only seeing like half of your face. There you go. All right. Come, we'll get you some light there. All right, so go ahead, keep going.
Verse 13. But the men of Sodom were wicked and sinners before the Lord exceedingly.
Like these men were wicked and they were sinners exceedingly. Everybody knows now the stories of Sodom and Gomorrah, but the Sodomites, as it is known to this very day, these are homosexuals, the LGBT mecca utopia of the ancient world. You understand? The Jeffrey Dahmer, all Jeffrey Dahmer's in there. John Wayne Gacy is in there. The popes, the pedophiles, the rapists, the snatchmen, the bandits, everything is in there. It's a horrible place that the Lord called them exceeding wicked. You understand? Extremely wicked, which is what the Lord said. You understand? Meaning they're wicked and they're sinners. And then there are exceedingly, meaning they do some evil things beyond what regular evil is. They got a special type of evil. You understand? They got the full buffet of evil, like beyond what is tolerated by evil standards. You understand? The bad guys is like, damn, this too much. They got to stop some of this. Like, goddamn, this is a lot of evil. Like, we can't go through there. Like, damn. Like, that's what the Lord wants you to understand about Sodom and Gomorrah, where Lot went and moved to. All right, so keep going.
Verse 14. And the Lord said unto Abram, after that Lot was separated from him, lift up now thy eyes and look from the place where thou art northward and southward and eastward and westward.
He said, look up your eyes, look north, south, east, and west. Now that nephew done got away, because that was not the instructions that the Lord gave. That nephew came along anyway, but those were not the instructions. Once the instructions to get that family, that father away, that whole kindred, now Lot somewhere else, the Lord is going to give Abraham some more instructions. So keep going.
Verse 15. For all the land which thou sayest to thee, will I give it, Salakia, and to thy seed forever.
Right. This is old Quaker English. It can get you tied up sometime. He said, I'm going to give it to you and your seed forever. Everything that you see, north, south, east, and west. Keep going.
Verse 16. I will make thee thy seed as the dust of the earth, so that if a man can number the dust of the earth, then shall thy seed also be numbered.
You said if a
arise, Salakia.
Right. He was saying if a man can number the dust of the earth, not the sand, you can see sand. It's hard to measure, but you can see sand. The dust is powdered sand. You understand? That's something smaller than sand, meaning it's so many of you, no one will ever be able to count how many of your seed there is. Like, that's how great the Lord is going to make him. And that blessing that the Lord is going to give to him doesn't have anything to do with his father. It doesn't have anything to do with his father's people or his father's lineage, because the Lord is going to make himself a people from Abraham's seed. That's something important to learn. And this is what the disciples and the apostles were teaching brothers and sisters coming into the truth in the New Testament, just like the disciples and prophets right here in the UPK are teaching brothers and sisters in the New Testament coming into the truth in these ISUPK classes. So keep going.
Verse 17. Arise, walk through the land in the length of it and in the breadth of it, for I give it unto thee.
Everywhere you walk in that land, as far wide and as far long as you go, everything I'm going to give to you in the land. You understand? Everywhere you go, I'm going to give you that land. This is what the Lord was saying. So now we're going to skip up to Genesis chapter 14 and verse 1. All right. Let's just get some backdrop over what's happening here. You got wars jumping off. That's why it's important to know where you're moving to, whose land is there, what's going on. All of those things are important to know, because if you don't know and war and all of these things jump off, you could move into damn Ukraine, or you could be Brittany Griner going to play basketball in Russia as Russia is preparing to go to war with Ukraine and the rest of Europe, because they have to continue the war now. They can't stop. They got to keep going. They're going to be sanctioned to hell. Their money has tanked, but something that the world don't realize is that Russia is the one supplying the oil for all the heat and the stoves and the gas all throughout Europe. If you decide you're going to cut Russia off, everybody going to freeze to death in Europe. If you think America is going to be sending you oil in Spain and Portugal and everywhere else, you out of your mind. So they gonna need to fight somebody to steal some oil. And they can't just run into Russia and bomb and murder them like they did the Arabs. like they did Gaddafi and Saddam Hussein and everybody else. They can't just run in there and murder everybody like they always do. So now they in a situation. And this is what happened to Lot. That's why you got to know where you're going. You can't just be up traveling everywhere like I'm free, I'm grown, I'm an adult, all those silly Christian things they teach you. You got to be sober and vigilant. You got to know what's going on. And most blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans do not pay attention. They figure, oh, that's somebody over there. That's just, as long as I do my thing over here and I mind myself and keep to myself. No, that's not going to work in a civil war. That's not going to work in world war. That's not going to work. There is no sidelines. Our people have been taught that as long as you stay out the way, none of these problems will find you. But our people were not taught that the Lord said for you to gather in the Isupk to get the proper instructions for the hell that the Lord is bringing about to wipe out these empires. And this is an important thing to mirror, that Lot did not know what was going on where he moved to. They got all kind of war and beef jumping off, and Lot mess around and get sucked into the mix. And he getting sucked into some even worse drama when he moved into goddamn Jeffrey Dahmer's neighborhood in Sodom and Gomorrah. You understand?
Right.
So that's something also to keep in mind. I think we lost you, brother. I think your signal, your reception, or the brother reception, probably in and out a little bit there. So give me Genesis chapter 14 and verse 1. Yeah, he dropped off there. Give me Genesis 14 and 1. Hey, Shalom, y'all should break it down.
Shalom, sir. Yahweh Shem Shabbat. Genesis chapter 14, verse 1. And it came to pass in the days of Amphrael, king of Shinar, Arioch, king of Elasar, and Kedorlaomer, king of Elam, and Tidal, king of nations.
King of nations. You got countries. This is a war. Everybody. You got a Royal Rumble jumping off. You got everybody going to war. And then Tidal. Tidal is the king of nations, meaning he's not in charge of just one or two people. He in charge of several different nations. So they got this king and his army, 4 or 5 kings, and then the damn then NATO, Tidal is in charge of NATO, going to war with 3 other kings. You understand? This is a major war that's going on here with 4 plus kingdoms. All right. So give me young man, take me to Genesis chapter 14 and 2. All right, and pick up from there. All right.
God. Genesis 14, chapter 2. That these made war with Baal, king of Sodom, and with Bahasha, king of Gomorrah, Shanab, king of Admah, and Shamar, king of Zabon, and the king of Bela, which is Zar.
Zoar. Come. This is everything. Those are the 5 kingdoms in the plains of Zoar. You understand? That fire that rained on Sodom and Gomorrah burned up everything that was in them plains of Zoar. That's right around where Lot moved him and his family and his possessions into this wicked, evil kingdom. And these other kings, Lord knows what they did to make them go to war against these Sodomites. Who knows what these Sodomites did? That 4 kings, they got NATO, Shalom, y'all should break it down, truth. They got NATO, the king of nations. Tidal is getting at them. NATO, their allies, goddamn Britain is in it. You understand? Whoever else, the rest of the allies is in there. Belgium in there, Switzerland in there. And next thing you know, they going to war against 5 kings. Like these Sodomites done something terrible that they got 5 kings going to war against them. Who knows what they did? But I'm sure it was something terrible. All right. So now war is jumping off. All right. So young man, keep going where you were. Give me verse 3.
Salakia, sir. I had got bumped off and lost my spot.
Con, Genesis chapter 14 and verse 3. All right.
That's what it was.
Con. Just let me know when you got it.
Con.
14 and 3. All right.
Almost there.
No sweat. Matazah Korah, if you have 14:3, you can pick it up.
Kind of one, sir.
All right, go ahead.
This is the book of Genesis, chapter 14, verse 3. All these were joined together in the vale of
Sit.
Siddim,
God, sit him,
which is the salt sea.
which is the salt sea. Keep going.
Verse 4. 12 years there, Salakia, 12 years they served. I'm going to need help pronouncing that, sir.
Chedorlaomer.
Chedorlaomer.
Mm-hmm.
And in the 13th year they rebelled.
12 years a slave. They got tired of this. They said, "The hell with Chedorlaomer." They fed up with this. You understand? They sucked. They took it for the God knows what they took under this bastard. He was probably trying to stop them from being nasty sodomites. The king of Elam, you know, them Elamites, they ain't too straight themselves, but the damn sodomites, they had the great sodomitic rebellion, something terrible. You understand? He was
Right.
trying to keep Jeffrey Dahmer at bay. They broke out that national coming out war. So now, the 13th year they rebelled, and this is where Lot moved. You understand? Lot wasn't supposed to be on this trip in the first place. Lot was supposed to be back in his father's land with his people. Lot wasn't supposed to go, but Lot went along with the trip anyway, and now Lot got himself in all kinds of trouble. You understand? So keep going.
Kind of one, verse 4. Salakia, verse 5. And in the 14th year came Chedorlaomer and the kings that were with him,
Uh-huh.
and smote the Rephaims
Uh-huh.
and Ashtaroth, Karnaim,
Karnaim. Uh-huh.
and the Zuzims in Ham, and the Emims in Shaveh
Carithium.
Carithium. The watch, sir.
And the Zuzim. You got all kind of wars going on, people getting killed, they taking over lands, like they getting fed up with it, everything. All kind of war is breaking off. You understand? This is not important. But the battle is a serious war going on. All right? Now you got all kind of people is getting joined in there. This battle, you know, is lots and lots of war and battle that's going on. And this is where Lot lived. So the kings is battling Sodom and Gomorrah. They battling. All the other nations is in there battling. You understand? Elam is in there. You got Hamites in there. Who knows whoever else is in there. Here's the problem. As far as Abraham is concerned. As far as Lot concerned, Lot not supposed to be there in the first place. Lot's supposed to be at home. But nevertheless, Lot came along for the journey. Now, take me to verse 10.
Khan. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 14, verse 10. And the vale of Siddim was full of slime pits.
The vale of Siddim was full of
slime pits. Is that what that is, sir?
slime pits.
Slime pits.
You remember? The slime. It wasn't solid footing in ground. It was you know, poor terrain. They couldn't really. They're trying to fight a battle, and it's just slime everywhere. So you got a vale. Let's look up and see what a vale is. A vale is a type of geography. It's saying something specific about the land that was there. They ran into an issue. You trying to fight a war, and instead of having ground underneath of you where you can get your footing for your horses and your chariots and your archers so you can swing your sword in battle, you slipping and sliding all over the place. You understand? Because it's slime pits. They got pits of slime, and you can't get your foot in. Everything is just falling into the slime. You know, the slime might be flammable. You get everybody in that slime, throw a couple of torches in there and just burn everybody up. You ain't got to fight nobody. You can hit whoever running away with arrows as they burn alive. You understand? So let's get the definition. Let's see what a vale is. V-A-L-E. Somebody pull that up. All right.
Sir. Slacky, sir, if I could.
Nah,
The definition of vale is like a valley.
it's a valley. It's a low land. So imagine you in the lowland trying to have a battle. You didn't come down the hill because the land is low. The lowland is where you're supposed to be able to fight, but you can't fight because there's slime pits everywhere. You understand? So that's what it's describing. All right. So keep going.
And the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah fled.
They ran. They said it's slime out here. These people coming to kill us. They on the run. Keep going.
And fell there.
They ran, but they died there. They run. They trying to run away. It's slime everywhere. Everybody getting killed. This beef jumping off. Got 10 different nations fighting. Keep going.
And they that remained fled to the mountain.
They fled to the mountain. They on the run. All right. So here's the problem. Keep going.
Verse 11. And they took all the goods of Sodom and Gomorrah, and all their victuals, and went their way.
They took everything. They killed who they could. They put them to flight. They on the run. They took their goods. They ran their pockets, their jewelry, their silver, went up in their kingdom, got their gold, all of their good price things, took their food, which is what victuals means. Victuals is food. They took everything from them. And then they went on about their way, you know. So keep going.
Verse 12. And they took Lot.
What happened?
Abram, and they took Lot.
And now, because Lot moved over there where these Sodomites live, God knows what beef they got with these Sodomites. What terrible things that the Sodomites did. They done rebelled up against this king, and now they done took Lot. Lot's a POW now. You understand? They like he got all these cattle and stuff. He wanted the men of Sodom. You understand? They taking food, they taking everything. So they say, well, hell, snatch him up too. He got all this money, all this wealth. You understand? So keep going. Hey, don't sweat it, brother. Just you go ahead and tune in, young man. I know your reception, your signal was breaking up there. Most High in Christ, young man, make it out the class. You understand? Don't sweat, brother. We get it on. All right, get that reception. Everything worked out. You can just tune in there. All right, no sweat. We got you down. What? So that's what's going on. So keep going. Lot gets snatched up.
Abram's brother's son, who dwelt in Sodom, and his goods, and departed.
They ran up in there. They snatched him, snatched his stuff, and they rolled out. They just rolling through, taking everything. Keep going.
Verse 13. And there came one that had escaped.
One of them had escaped. He got to running. He was looking around. He seen them kicking in doors. He seen them going house to house. He said, oh, getting out of here. You understand?
Right.
He wanted to escape. He said, you are on your own. He rolled out. He got out of there. You understand?
Got with God.
So keep going.
And told Abram the Hebrew.
He ran back to Abram. And he remembered where Abram was. So he ran back to Abram and said, listen, they done snatched up your nephew. It's bad. They done took everything. They done killed the kings of Sodom. They slapping people. They stealing stuff. They breaking jaws, taking horses, and they got your nephew. You understand? It's bad. He went and told Abram. Keep going.
For he dwelt in the plain of Mamre, the Amorite.
Right. Keep going.
Brother of Eshol and brother of Aner.
All right. Go ahead.
And these were confederate with Abram.
That's a very important word. It's a military term. They were confederate with Abram, meaning they got treaties with Abram. Remember, the Lord said, I will bless them that bless thee, and I will curse them that curse thee. The Lord made a covenant with Abram. Abram don't know all the details to the covenant, but Abram is obeying the Most High, and the Most High hold up his end of the bargain. You understand? But Abram is dwelling in the plain here. He got wealth. He got goats and cattle. He would, the Amorites later on. The Amorites was the land of Salaki. I'm not sure if these are the same Amorites now, but the Amorites, I believe the Amorites were giants. King Og of Bashan, the Bashanites, we ended up having to fight them and put an end to their lineage later on in King David's day. You understand? But these were mighty and powerful people. They weren't poor and weak. They were established. And Abraham, with his wealth and his goats and his cattle, he lived there. And he had a confederacy with them. He got his servants, his wealth and his power. They probably benefiting doing trade and stuff with them. They got an agreement, like, something jump off. We gonna ride. All right. That's why it's important. It said, and these were confederate with him. Let's get the definition of that word confederate real quick. Let's just get that so we can get a better understanding of why. Remember, all the words in the Bible are important. There's a reason it's saying these words. So let's get confederate.
Got on, sir, if I could.
All right, go ahead.
The Webster's Dictionary of Confederate. The definition is united in a league, allied.
United in a league, an ally. You understand? Let's see if we can get league. We know what ally means. We know what they're saying, but let's just see if we can get the definition of league. Get some definitions for league.
The definition of league: an association of nations or other political entities for a common purpose.
That's important. It's an association of nations, of political entities. They got a political alliance going on. They got wealth and power. He got wealth and power. They confederate. Something goes down. Just think of NATO. Just like we saying something go down. You bring it up in the next meeting. Hey, we need 200 cattle over here. We got a famine going on in this land. Send up some silver. We're gonna make some good swords over here. Send it to my silversmiths. Let's get the swap going. Let's work on this tunnel so we can get the water flowing clearly, so that you ain't got people in your land fighting over water because they don't have no water, and you too dumb to distribute the water from one half of the kingdom to the other half, and they too dumb to stop blowing up the goddamn pipeline to get the water from this side of the country to the other, which Gaddafi had that same problem. You understand? He Confederate. So now this problem, we got a situation. These sodomites, they done snatched up my nephew, and we got to get him back. You understand? So now let's see what happens.
Verse 14. And when Abram heard that his brother was taken captive, he armed his trained servants.
His what?
His trained servants.
This is something that you have to understand. Abram was a man of the Lord. The Lord chose Abram. The Lord rode with Abram, the power that created heaven and earth. But Abram was not singing choir hymns. He wasn't beating no tambourine. These wasn't men in them Roman bathrobes that you see in all them Christian movies. That's not what happened. They snatched up his nephew. He didn't go and sing songs and beg the Lord to get him back. Read that line, what he said again.
He armed his trained servants.
He got servants trained for the smoke. You understand? He ain't just out there in the wilderness, just praying and singing songs and dancing, enjoying the sun. They out there ready for the smoke. You understand? The Lord never was setting up a choir. They went and snatched up his nephew. His soldiers going to get their nephew back. And that's a very important lesson that Christians do not understand when it comes to the Bible. In a Christian's mind, Jesus can work it out. Jesus gonna work it out, and you just sing and pray, and everything will be fixed. No, the Lord would have killed all of them Egyptians in that house if he didn't give Sarah back to Abraham. And yet, Abraham had an army with him because he was supposed to. The Lord split the Red Sea for Noah. Then he's for Moses, and then he split the Jordan River for Joshua several times. But Joshua and Moses both had armies. You understand? The Lord, he wants an army to be built. We're not going to sing at the problem. We're not going to pray for it to go away. That's not how these things get solved. You understand? When the problem came, Abraham already had trained men. You understand? That's how you have power. You can't have a nation without trained soldiers and warriors to defend your nation. You can't have cattle and property and wealth and think that prayer and kind words is going to make sure that you secure your stuff. You understand? You're not going to sing and politically vote your problem. It didn't say Abraham went and asked somebody for help, even though he confederate with these other nations. It said he got his killers, his trained men. It said, everybody load up. We're going to get my nephew. Keep going.
Born in his own house.
What?
Born in his own house.
These killers he raised. These the men that serve him, that roll with him. Nobody just going to roll up and just take our stuff. Where were Lot's trained killers? Did Lot have men, armed men, trained soldiers, ready just in case something jump off? Who knows? We know that one man got away. Everybody else got taken captive. Maybe Lot was going to sing his way out of it. Who knows? But that wasn't Abram's approach. You understand? So keep going.
318 and pursued them unto Dan.
You understand? He wasn't 318 men. You understand? It's 90 men to a company. A brigade is what? How many companies is in a brigade? You got 45-man groups. You got 90 men. You got a company. You got a platoon. You got a whole regiment rolling with him. You understand? 300 soldiers. They're not going out there to hope and pray for the best. That's not what they're going for. You understand? Keep going.
Verse 15. And he divided himself against them, he and his servants, by night, and smote them, and pursued them unto Hobah.
He said, read that again. He and his read after divided himself.
He and his servants by night and smote them and pursued.
Like he and his servants is something. This is a military tactic. A lot of the things that the other nations learn, especially America's military, they learn from the Bible. These military tactics and things they learn from us. Abraham was not just wandering, some old man just wandering out there in the desert with all this cattle and wealth just waiting to get robbed. That's not what was going on. He had and knew military tactics and things. He said this whole army that just went and killed this whole city. We're not fighting them in the daytime. We breaking in houses. We sneaking in garages. We sneaking in tents. We going to wait till they good and tired and drunk. And then we going to go through and wipe out everybody and get all of our stuff and my nephew. You understand? He wasn't playing no games. It's guerrilla warfare. You understand? That's the same thing that the Gadites used. That's why the U.S. military had such a difficult time defeating Gad for hundreds and hundreds of years. You understand? It just so happened that the Lord was against Gad, like the Lord was against all the tribes, and eventually, like the prophecy said, Esau overcame us, and Gad is going to overcome at the last. You understand? But keep going.
And pursued them unto Hobah.
They on the run now. They running. Keep going.
Which is on the left hand of Damascus.
They running. They doing some running. You understand? They running far, and they getting chased. Meaning they're not just running to just say, oh, the fight is over. They're running because it's still men chasing them to kill them. That's why they're running. You understand? That's how real war is fought. Real war is fought that way. Unless you want to have to fight them again in 15 years once they get stronger, you got to make sure that they're all gone. That's why they spent 20 years chasing bin Laden and chasing the Taliban and killing Al-Qaeda leader after Al-Qaeda leader. You understand? Like that's how real war is fought. You understand? So keep going.
And I want to come verse 16. And he brought back all the goods, and also brought again his brother Lot,
Mm-hmm.
and his goods, and the women also, and the people.
Meaning they took everything. Abraham brought back they stuff after he killed them. They just finished killing the Sodomites. He took their stuff. Then he got his nephew. All of the stuff that his nephew that they took, he got all that back. All the people that they took captive, he got all of them back. You understand? So his fame and reputation is growing. It's growing. Like your reputation is so very important. One of the things that the Most High said to Moses to tell them about Joshua, that's the second episode of The Bible is Black. Put some respect on his name. Put some of thine honor upon him. And that's a very important thing, that your honor, your name, your reputation holds weight. That's very big with blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. And Abraham's Abram, because his name is not Abraham yet, but his name rings bells. They know him. They recognize in him. They see you cross him, terrible things happen to you. He got an army. They snatched up his nephew. You heard what happened? Yeah, they ran through Sodom. They took them people half it. But you know some of them people they took. They took Big Abram. Yeah, Big Abram from Mamre. Stay over there in Mamre. They snatched up Big Abrams. His nephew was in there, man. Man, word got back. Big Abram, his people, they came through there, man. They killed everybody. Them people ran all the way to Damascus. Everything that they took, Big Abram took all of that. They stuff, his nephew, the people, man, I don't want nothing to do with Big Abram. Big Abram running things, man. Before you know it, you getting a reputation. Now, your reputation, that honor is going to go on your sons. And then because of your reputation and the wealth that you get blessed with, the other people who are not Israelites, who are not going to get the covenant, but guess whose butcher shop they're going to work at? They're going to work at your sons. Guess whose cattle? They're going to train their sons to take care of and breed your cattle. They're going to train your horses, that your sons, they're going to train their sons to be your military experts, raised in your house. They're not Israelites. They're not getting the covenant, but they roll with Abraham, and their fathers are loyal to Abraham. Abraham damn near got a whole nation, a whole kingdom rolling with him wherever he go. He called up 300 of his own trained soldiers. That's real power. You understand? He got 300 trained soldiers, and he got allies. You understand? They got a political organization where they got deals and stuff worked out. He didn't even call the allies. He handled this with his own trained soldiers. You understand? Like, these are things that's important to establish and have power. And these are things that the Christian church never teaches our people are important. They teach you to sing about it, hope for the best. They somebody slap you, beat you, kill you, just pray for them, hold their hand, cry a little bit, march, light some candles, get some teddy bears. Non-violent, non-violent. I had turned the other cheek. All of that old civil rights nonsense, that's not real life. That's not biblical. It's not godly. It's not the Holy Spirit. And it's not righteous. You understand? It's not the Spirit of God. That's a homosexual, weak, effeminate Christian spirit that they try to force to get a rough warrior masculine spirit out of Black, Hispanic, and Native American men. You understand? This is why the disciples in the New Testament are teaching brothers and sisters that's coming into these schools. This is why they teaching them about Abraham. You understand? So keep going.
Verse 17. And the king of Sodom went out to meet him after his return from the slaughter of Chedorlaomer, and of the kings that were with him, at the valley of Shaveh, which is the king's dale.
You understand? The king's dale. I believe the dale is a is another geographical term. Something going on with forests and things like that. The king of Sodom was successful, but he didn't have no security fortifying the cities where his people were. He might have won some battle, but his people in this town over here lost the other battle. So you got a whole bunch of things that's going on, but Abraham is successful. All right, so go ahead.
I want to comment verse 18. And Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought forth bread and wine, and he was the priest of the Most High God.
Now, this is very important. This Melchizedek come out of nowhere. He comes out of nowhere. It doesn't tell you from whence he came. It didn't tell you where he was going. And this is also what he's teaching them in Hebrews. I want you to hold that and bear with me just let's try Isaac. Melchizedek, bear with me just a moment. Let me see if I can get that. Past age, Jacob obeys and went out, didn't know he was going. Bear with me just a moment. Like all of these things are important. Like going to church, you would never know that these things were in the Bible. You would never know that any of this matters. You would hear about it, but you would never know why, what happened. Without the Spirit of the Lord, you can read the words in the scripture all you want, and it's not going to make sense to you. Like the Lord say, his Spirit hides things. Like you're not just going to understand the Bible because you pick it up and read it. You understand? That's why Christ said, I'm glad that you hear these things from the wise and the prudent. You understand? You might be prudent to go and study and find things on yourself. I studied the Bible all the time, and I never saw this. Any Bible conference, any prophecy breakdown to this, they talking about the prophecies and gates to this and this and that. I studied all of that, and at no point in time did I ever even almost come close to any of this. Nothing. Not even remotely close. Because it was hidden from me. Because you need the Spirit of the Lord and the prophets of the Most High that he put his spirit on to break down the scriptures. You understand? Melchizedek. Let me see if I can find that. The king of Salem. Hebrew. Let me see. Let me find that there. King of Salem. Like it doesn't say where he comes from or from where he went. I'm trying to get this because it's in Hebrew. It's in the book of Hebrews. It's not Genesis. Like this is one of the incarnations of Christ. You understand? This is why he's taking the tithes from Abram, because Abraham has great power. He has great wealth. Hey, shalom, brother. Lord in Christ. All right. He has these great things, great power that he's taking tithes of Abraham, because Abraham just got a mighty victory. The Lord, of course, is with him, and he's taking tithes from him. Salem. Salem, of course, in the Hebrew, you got Shalom, Shalom, the Prince of Peace, or the King of Salem, the King of Peace. You understand? Or Malakia Tazadak, which is how you say Melchizedek in the Hebrew. That's a bad name. You understand? It's in Hebrews, the 7th chapter, which is what I'm looking for. Hold that and take me to Hebrews chapter 7 and verse 1. As a matter of fact, real quick.
Hebrews chapter 7, verse 1. For this Melchizedek, king of Salem, priest of the Most High God.
The what?
Priest of the Most High God.
He's a priest of the Most High. But he's going to break it down about this priesthood, which is very important. In the Bible, the words in the Bible are important. There are a lot of terms. If you aren't familiar with the definitions, that's why we take time to go through and break down the scriptures. If you aren't familiar with the definitions of the words that are being used, the actual meaning of the scriptures can completely escape you as to what is being said. All right? So when it said, just like we went over the word Dale, we went over the word veil and confederate. You understand? These things are very important. In the New Testament, it says that Christ set them down by ranks. and there came a company of these people. These are military terms. There's a reason it didn't just say he put a group of them here, a group of them there, some there. It's specific terms so that you can understand that this is military operations that are taking place. To the rest of the world that reads the Bible, Abram is just, some old man in the desert. He got a kid. He got his old lady pregnant. She 90, he 90. They just out there with camels, and, God magically talked to him. And then, boom, it's Charlton Heston and Moses, and, it's a goddamn cartoon book. But in reality, this man had military tactics. He had an army. He had servants. He had camels. It was hundreds and hundreds of people that were rolling with Abram that you never even realized this is a whole kingdom rolling with this brother. And it's only getting bigger and bigger as he goes. You understand? So finish that Hebrews 7 where you're reading that, Urash Babkashar.
Kind of a concept. Who met Abraham, returning from the slaughter of the kings, and blessed him.
He blessed Abraham. Why did he bless him? The Lord had made a covenant with Abraham already. One of the incarnations of this Melchizedek which of course we know that Melchizedek is Christ. Adam was also Christ. He was the first man. Of course, reincarnation is in the Bible. Adam was Christ. Melchizedek was also Christ. King Solomon was also a previous incarnation of Yahushua, and then the last time was Yahushua himself as the actual king, as the Messiah. You understand? Reincarnation is all over the Bible. You understand? So keep going.
Verse 2. To whom also Abraham gave a tenth part of all, first being by interpretation king of righteousness.
The king of righteousness, Malakia Tazadak, is talking about Christ. Keep going.
And after that, also king of Salem, which is king of peace.
Peace. Salem, that's exactly what I was explaining to you before. The word Salem is shalom. Shalom means peace. That's how we greet each other. That's how we say hello. That's how we say goodbye. Shalom. Shalom. Yahweh Shem Yahushua Barakatham. Shalom, Lord in Christ. Shalom. Yahweh Shema Alathan by Shem Yahushua. We start, we end. Shalom means peace. That's what Salem is in English. You understand? All right. King of peace. Who is the king of peace or the prince of peace? Christ's titles was the prince of peace. This is talking about Christ. That's why he has the same titles. You understand? He has the same titles. He's going to give a little bit more about Melchizedek. So give me verse 3.
Verse 3. Without father, without mother.
He didn't have a father or a mother. Keep going.
Without descent.
You don't know where he came from. You don't have his lineage. You don't know his father. Nobody went to school with his dad, his mom, what land he's from. You don't have none of this information about him. Keep going.
Having neither beginning of days.
He doesn't have a beginning of days. You don't know when he was born. Keep going.
Nor end of life.
You don't know when he died. You don't know when he's living. He's forever. You understand? Keep going.
But made like unto the Son of God.
Made like unto the Son of God. You have again the Son of God. Of course, we're talking about Christ. Adam was also the Son of God. Just to show you, when it says the Son of God, this does not mean that he's an angel. This does not mean angels. You understand? That's not what it's talking about. Adam was called the Son of God at the end of Luke, the 3rd chapter. He's, of course, in the lineage of Christ. And Christ was also called the Son of God. That wasn't a unique term. That just means that you do everything that the Lord loves, that the Lord wants. Just like if somebody say, that's my son. That's my son, man. Like, we think the same. We operate the same. He does exactly what I would do. That's my son. That's black man talk. You understand? So keep going.
Abideth a priest continually.
He abideth a priest, meaning he's a priest forever. His order is not the Levitical priesthood. His order is the order of Melchizedek, which is the one that we are under as priests of the Most High. Now, as Isupk, we are not under the Levitical priesthood because we are not Levites. And Christ ended that Levitical priesthood because there was a priesthood that predates the Levites. You understand? And that priesthood that predates the Levites is the one from Melchizedek. That's why a priest sent from the Lord shows up to collect tithes out of Abraham. You don't know where he's from. You don't know his mother, his father. You don't know when he born. You don't know when he died. He's priest forever. That's the order of Melchizedek. That is the order that the disciples were under. That's the order that we are under. These things are important. So you not only know your heritage, your lineage, the details to the covenant, to the contracts. What the disciples are teaching these brothers and sisters in the New Testament is how to be a free man. What is your nation? What is your heritage? Who are your forefathers? What are your kings? How did we live before this? What land belongs to us? How are we supposed to operate? All of these things are contained in the Bible, and everything that we're learning about in the New Testament, the disciples, Christ taught them from the Old Testament. That's why they're still teaching and explaining the Old Testament thousands of years after Abraham, of course, is dead and gone. All right, so go ahead and finish this here, a couple more verses in Hebrews.
Verse 4. Now consider how great this man was, unto whom even the patriarch Abraham gave the tenth of the spoils.
Right. Consider how great he was. Abraham gave him tithes. He paid tithes to them. Why did he pay tithes? Because tithes was a command. You understand? He made a covenant with the Most High. Tithes was a command. All right. Now give me verse 5.
And verily, they that are of the sons of Levi, who received the office of the priesthood.
Now this is important things because the sons of Levi got the office of priesthood. That is later on in Moses' days. But this predates Moses. Remember, these laws, statutes, and commandments that we have, Adam already had them. Adam taught them to his sons. That's why Cain and Abel knew to bring a sacrifice unto the Most High in Genesis, the 4th chapter. And they also knew the proper sacrifice that the Lord required, and Cain didn't give a damn. He was going to give God whatever he wanted. That is the same spirit that is on the so-called oppressor to this very day. That's why he murdered his brother who God loves, because he did not want to obey the Father. And of course, the Lord doesn't deal with him anymore. Anything, whole story, everything unfolds after that. So keep going with 7, Urash.
Sir. Have a commandment to take tithes of the people according to the law.
He's taking tithes according to what?
To the law.
Which shows you even more. Abraham knew to give him a 10th part because Abraham knew the law. Why? Because Abraham comes from the lineage of Noah's kids. And Noah was a man that was perfect in his generations. Even though everybody else was wicked that died, Noah was perfect. Meaning Noah kept the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High so that they could be taught to his sons. And even though once the earth got repopulated, nobody gave a damn about those laws, but they still existed. There was a man named Eber. Eber is Ibar in the Hebrew. The word Eber means Ibar, or from the past, which is the word Hebrew in English. You understand? He continued and kept the ways from before the flood. Everybody else died before the flood, except one man did what the Lord wanted. That was Noah. You understand? And then Abraham is learning he knows to do this because he's from that same lineage. The Lord is reestablishing that pure lineage of just his chosen people now that the earth is back full of people again. And they're learning this is how things are supposed to function. This is the priesthood. This is how it works. This is how it starts. So you know your history and your heritage. One thing Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans do not know is history. Our people don't know any history at all. All the history we know is what everyone has repeated, which is really just whatever slave master has taught us to say. You come from Africa. Life started in Africa. Everybody's an African. You're a Moor. You know, all of these things, all of that comes from white people. You understand? So keep going.
Come on, sir. Of their brethren, that is, of their brethren, though They come out of the loins of Abraham.
They come from the loins of Abraham. This is the priesthood that everyone was familiar with at that time, because the Levitical priesthood came from Aaron. Aaron came from Jacob. Jacob had 12 sons. These are all the lineage. Aaron is Moses' brother. He's from Levi, which is one of Jacob's 12 sons. Before Jacob, you got Isaac. Before Isaac, you got Abraham. So in Abraham is contained the Levites. They are sperm. Those sperm would become Isaac. Those sperm would become Jacob. A man's sperm reproduces that same lineage. That's how you are able to bring back your ancestors. When you die, some male of your lineage brings you back. Just like the last time you died, just like the time before that, just like the time before that. That's how life functions. That's how it's always been. And this is how we learn. This is the same way that the brothers with the Spirit of the Lord would have been teaching the brothers and sisters in the schools in the New Testament, the same way that you're being taught now. All right? So keep going.
Verse 6. But he whose descent is not counted from them received tithes of Abraham and blessed him that had the promises. Verse 7.
Right. His seed is not counted because they are still inside of Abraham. They haven't been born yet. They won't be born for many generations. And Melchizedek does not come from that Levitical priesthood. He comes from an everlasting priesthood. You understand? So keep going.
Verse 7. And without all contradictions, the less is blessed of the better.
The less is blessed of the better, because you got legal terms now. All of these legal terms and things, you got the old people that come from the Levitical priesthood that don't want Christ to be in charge because they've had power for the last 100 years. And they're doing a terrible job. That's why everybody is sick, and the homeless and the poor and the crippled is laid out in the damn street for Christ and the disciples to walk by and heal. And they mad that they getting healed because it was their responsibility to take care of him and they were not. You understand? That's why one of the many reasons they wanted Christ killed. So he's explaining these things in these legal terms because you also got fake Israelites who did not want to follow Christ. That's why when you get to Acts the 17th chapter, they get beaten to piss by demons and stripped out of their clothes. Same way you got fake Israelites now that don't want to follow the men that Christ set up. That's why they're not in the Isupk under Commanding General Yohana. The same way the fake Israelites did not want to get up under Peter and them in Christ's day. They didn't even want to obey Christ when Christ was alive. They had their own fake Israelite group while Christ was there. John the Baptist had his own disciples while Christ was alive. You understand? So it's always been that way. None of them are in the truth, and they're going to get everybody hurt and probably killed pretty soon. You understand? That's why we keep telling them, you're not in the truth. You're not in the Isupk. Everybody will find out together. That what we've been saying the whole time, the Lord told us to say. But we're not going to get on that. So now, Hebrews chapter 7. And where you at now? So he's saying this isn't a contradiction because the better is blessing the less. The better is who Abraham gave tithes to after the order of Melchizedek, which is the one that was going to take over anyway because it was before the Levitical priesthood. All right? All of these stories, there's rivers that flow throughout the Bible, that everything is just repeating itself. Everything is just repeating itself. Life continues. There's nothing new under the sun. It's the same cycles. So once you learn how spirits actually work, how the Lord actually set things up, you can have a better understanding of not only what's happening, but what's getting ready to happen and what's going to happen after that. All right. So now, where you at? 7. He received the tithes. Levi received the tithes. He was in the loins of Melchizedek, the Levitical priesthood. All right, that's all we need from there. All right. We can get the rest of that later on after we finish Abraham's life. So now let's go back to Genesis chapter 14 and verse 18.
This is the book of Genesis chapter 14, verse 18. And Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought forth bread and wine, and he was the priest of the Most High God.
Mhm.
Verse
Now,
19.
so
Oh,
like
Shabbat.
when we see God in the English, if we're on the street, we'll read God. In the classes, we'll read power, because what we're reading about is the power. Like the power,
Shalom.
God means powers. In most cases, it's Alahayim, which is referring to the angels, but it translates into power. So when you see the Most High, that's talking about the Most High. If you see capital Lord, you're not going to see into the Bible until after Abraham's time, because he wasn't calling the Most High by his proper name. He was just establishing the covenant so that the sons could inherit it and eventually get it once we get a Levitical priesthood. What comes with that Levitical priesthood, you got the offerings, you got the nation, you got the temple, you got all of these things to make us a full nation. Right now, the reputation is just building so that Abraham's sons can have an inheritance to make themselves mighty and great. All right. So keep going.
Shalom. Verse 19. And he blessed him and said, Blessed be Abram of the Most High Power, possessor of heaven and earth.
You understand? Keep going.
Verse 20. And blessed be the Most High Power, which hath delivered thine enemies into thy hand. And he gave him tithes of all.
He said, the Lord delivered your enemies into thy hand. The Lord told Abraham, I will be an enemy unto your enemies. I will curse them, they curse you, and bless them, they bless thee. You understand? These people, they serving you, they doing right now, that's great. They doing wonderful. For your sake, they will be blessed. If at any point these people decide to turn on you, which eventually, the heathen eventually do turn on you. They're happy now. I'm eating, they eat. They doing good. They getting steak. They getting wealth. That's great and wonderful. They serve me. My wealth is trickling down to them. Everybody good. We got water. We got cattle. Your sons, daughters fed, everything. You raising up my train, and eventually you might want those sons of yours to be your army instead of mine. That's why I need my own nation. It's nice that you were kind and you served my father, but your sons might not want to serve my sons. They might want to be their own. They work for me. They have my horses. They have my cattle. They watch my land. They guard my doors and my gates. I might need a nation of my own, a family of my own. And this is what happens over time. The other people who helped us, eventually, they served, they were nice, they were kind, they turned on us. That's what happened with Moses. It said there arose a new Pharaoh that knew not Joseph. The old Pharaoh loved Joseph, and he was an Egyptian. But this new Pharaoh didn't give a damn about Joseph. He loved his people, and he was concerned with what's best for his people. So he's going to hurt you who are not his people. That's why we are building our own. It's nice that they're kind and wonderful and friendly and we can get along, and that's great. But you still need your own nation. There's no substitute for that. And that's what it's building to. That's why it's still important. You understand? So keep going.
Verse 21. And the king of Sodom said unto Abram, Give me the persons and take the goods to thyself.
We said, give me the people and you can keep all the goods for yourself. The king of Sodom. Keep going.
Verse 22. And Abram said to the king of Sodom, I have lifted up mine hand unto the Lord, the Most High Power, the possessor of heaven and earth. You going, sir?
Yeah, keep going. Give me 23.
Verse 23. That I will not take from a thread even to a shoe latchet, and that I will not take anything that is thine. Lest thou shouldest say, I have made Abram rich.
And that is integrity on another level. That's so very important. It's so very important because as nice and as loyal and as honest and dignified as they are now, These are still other nations of people. And they'll get jealous and they'll get hungry and they'll see your success and your gold and wonder why I don't have this success and this gold. And they'll see your sons and daughters and wonder why I don't have these sons and daughters. They'll see your wealth and your cattle and they'll wonder, well, damn, why he got all of this? I'm supposed to be the man. The hell is he? You understand? And then they get jealous and then they'll want to steal, and lie, and murder. Only reason he got that wealth, he took that from me. That's really supposed to be mine. Shit, that's sodomite gold. Talking about Abram rich. I don't want to hear nobody else talking. Of course, they start saying your name. Abram, man. Yeah, you heard what happened? Abram went down there. They kidnapped all the sodomites. Big Abram went down there, got him back, got the gold, got the people, got everything. You understand? And who knows? That might have been a trick from the heathen so he can double back and say the people that's confederate with him, this damn Hebrew stole all of my stuff. I was away at the war. He was probably helping them. That's how he got all my gold. Abraham was wise. He said, I raised my hand to the Lord. He kind of like saying, you know, the Most High is my witness. I'm not going to take one shoe latchet. The sandals, your whatever that belong to you and your people, everybody take their stuff. I got mine. I don't need none of your stuff. The heathen is like, you can have it, just give me the people. He was like, no, you take your stuff and your people. We gonna roll. That was wise. That was very wise. You understand? Keep going.
Verse 24. Save only that which the young men have eaten, and the portion of the men which went with me, Aner, Eshol, and Mamre, let them take their portion.
He said, I'm not going to take nothing except for with the men that rode with me. And remember, these are the allies. So some of the allies did roll. Aner, Eshol, and Mamre, these were, when you go back up previously into the chapter, they rode with it. They were the Confederates. That's why we looked up that word Confederate. They were his Confederates. They taking their portion. They not giving back what they took. But he said, I'm going to give you everything that I got. But whatever my young men eat, that's gone. You ain't going to get that back. They ate all of that. That's gone. Everything else, you going to get, except for what they take. And you want to go talk to them about it, they probably not going to give it back. But anything that I got that's yours, you can have. All that's for you. You understand? That was very wise. All right? So keep going.
So like I said, that was the end of the chapter, I believe.
Con, no sweat. Give me 15 and 1.
Come on, one con. Book of Genesis, chapter 15, verse 1. After these things, the word of the Lord came unto Abram in a vision, saying, Fear not, Abram, I am thy shield and thy exceeding great reward.
He said, don't be afraid. Don't worry about it. I'm with you. I'm your shield. Keep going.
Verse 2. And Abram said, Lord power, what wilt thou give me, seeing I go childless, and the steward of my house is the Eliezer, is that how you pronounce it? Eliezer of Damascus.
He said, I don't have any. He said, you know, what are you going to, he's explaining. He's like, you know, what are you going to give me? I don't have any children. And the man in charge of my house, he's in charge of all my affairs, is Eliezer of Damascus. I know this covenant you got for me and my children. This is what Abraham is talking about. And these are things about matters of business and title and property, order, inheritance. These are things that are important to a free man. That's why we're learning these things for our inheritance as a nation, our records, our kings, our forefathers, our language. You understand? Our God, our power, our history. So he's saying, what am I going to do? I got, you know, Eliezer of Damascus. He's in charge of all my affairs. Once I go, all this belong to him. All right. So keep going. Give me 3.
On verse 3. And Abram said, Behold, to me thou hast given no seed, and lo, one born in my house is mine heir.
He said to me, you didn't give me no kids, and this one born in my house is my heir. I mean, he raised in my house. I ain't got no kids. So, you know, just what you want me to do? You know, I'm pretty old. My rib is pretty old. You know, I ain't got no kids. So I'm just saying, you know, what's next? It's a lock it. What am I gonna do? So keep going.
Now come verse 4. And behold, the word of the Lord came unto him, saying, This shall not be thine heir, but he that shall come forth out of thine own bowels shall be thine heir.
He said, listen, that he is not going to be your heir. The word of the Lord came. Said, that's not going to be your heir. That's not what I said. Someone from your own bowels, from your own innards, your seed, that's going to be the heir, not this other person. Keep going.
Now come verse 5. And he brought him forth abroad and said, Look now toward heaven, and tell the stars, if thou be able to number them. And he said unto him, So shall thy seed be.
He said, you're going to have this many children. You're going to look, can you count the stars? Now, mind you, we from the Middle East. You get to see a lot more stars in the Middle East than you do over here in America, because we got big open skies over there, lots and lots of stars. That's why Islam has that symbol for the star and the crescent moon. The Arabs and other desert dwelling people, they use the stars to navigate, especially at night. In most cases, it's too hot to move or travel great distances during the day because it get 120, 125 degrees. You understand? Anybody's ever been in Esau's military, you've been to Kuwait, you've been to Iraq, Afghanistan, 110, 120, 115 in the shade, you understand? You can't do too much during the daytime. If you do, you're a damn fool. You understand? You're going to get sick, dehydrated, kidney failure. You're going to pass out. You're going to be, you can't do a whole lot. That's why they use the stars. And just like any heathen, whatever they need to survive, they'll start to worship it, and it will become the god. If we need cows to work the land, fertilize the crops, then the cow is God. Hey, shalom, brother. You understand? If we need the hippo, because the hippo, does this over here, then the hippo is God. If we need this cat, because the cat can see in the dark, then the cat is God. That's how a heathen thinks. Rain come from the sky, will make up some creature, and he'll be the rain god. Like, that's how heathens think. That's why in Jeremiah, the 10th chapter, the Lord said, be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. They don't understand how real life works. They believe in superstition because they don't have the spirit of the Lord. The Lord didn't tell them. You don't deal with them. They're not his children. They can believe in whatever the hell they want. For now. You understand? Once Christ returned, they won't have a choice what to believe in or what to do. All right? But now, they can believe whatever they want. So, keep going where you are.
Come on, verse 6. And he believed in the Lord, and he counted it to him for righteousness.
Abram believed in the Lord, and the Lord counted it for righteousness. They said this was a righteous thing. Like, he's trusting in the Most High. The Most High told him to leave his family, his land, his country, his people, and don't take none of his relatives with him. And he did what the Most High said. Like, the Lord is meeting him where his faith is taking him. And he said, listen, I got you here. We're doing something great. I'm going to make sure that your seed, no one will be able to count how many of your descendants there are. You understand? So keep going.
And he said unto him, I am the Lord that brought thee out of Ur of the Chaldees to give thee this land to inherit it.
Now, because Abram obeyed the Most High, the Lord now has a reputation with Abram. Remind you, this is a covenant. The covenant is a contract or agreement. So now he's stating the terms of this covenant. Remember what we've been through. I bought you from Chaldea. Remember, at first, you didn't know where the hell you was going. You just left, your rib, a couple of belongings, Now look at how great you are. You got wealth from Abimelech. You got wealth from Gerar when they took Sarah. Now you got wealth from them when they gave her back. You got wealth from this here. You went and killed all of those other nations that kidnapped Lot. Now you got wealth from there. Your name, your reputation is growing. You got more servants from there. Now you're getting bigger and bigger. Like, remember my reputation. I ain't failed you yet. I'm the one that brought you out of Chaldea from the land of Ur. And now, when the future generations come, the reputation that the Lord had built between him dealing with Abraham and Abraham's life will be the faith that brothers and sisters in the New Testament are going to base them serving the Most High on, because Abram obeyed the Most High when the Lord first came to him. All right, so keep going.
I'm going to come verse 8. And he said, Lord power, whereby shall I know that I shall inherit it?
You said, how am I going to know where I'm inherited? He said, I will give this land to thee. He said, how am I going to know what land is this land that you're referring to? This is what Abram is asking the Most High. Again, the Bible is not magic. He don't know. He ain't never been here before. He left his home, his family, his people, his dad, everybody that he knew. And he got, some servants, some wealth, and his wife. And everywhere he going, he's just gaining and getting more and more. He said, okay, well, where is the actual land? How will I know when I get there? Is it over there? Am I 20 minutes away? There's no map quest. There's no GPS. There's no one giving him directions. You understand? So he asking regular questions. Again, the Bible is not magic. He don't know. He's just asking regular questions. Well, okay, you said I got it. Do I have it now? Is it over there? Is it 20 minutes? Like, is it one more year? Like, where is it? He don't know. So keep going.
I'm going to come verse 9. And he said unto him, take me an heifer of 3 years old.
A heifer is a female cow. Keep going.
And a she goat of 3 years old.
A she goat, just like it says, a girl goat.
And a ram of 3 years old.
All right.
And a turtle dove. And a young pigeon.
A young pigeon. A pigeon is a dove. Pigeon, dove, same bird. Turtle, dove, small bird, and a young pigeon. All right. Keep going.
Verse 10. And he took unto him all these, and divided them in the midst, and laid each piece one against another. But the birds divided he not. Keep going, sir.
Come on, you can keep reading.
Verse 11. And when the fowls came down upon the carcasses, Abram drove them away.
The birds, they killed them. He take their carcasses. That's how you know they were dead, because they were alive and now they're carcasses. And he took piece to piece and put a piece here and a piece here. So now 3 years old for this, 3 years old for that, 3 years old for this, a turtle dove and a young pigeon. And he said the birds came. The birds don't know the Bible. You understand? These birds, these not magical birds. This ain't no Disney movie, no fairy tale. The birds see dead meat out in the field somewhere. They coming to eat. That's why he driving the birds away. This is real life. This ain't magic. This ain't, the pastor getting ready to start singing. This is real people. You understand? He had to drive the birds away. The birds was going to eat the carcass. Got dead meat, blood, and guts out here. They coming to eat. All right. Keep going.
I don't want to come. Verse 12. And when the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abram.
Mm-hmm.
And lo, an horror of great darkness fell upon him.
He sleep. He got a horror of great darkness fall upon him. He don't know what's going on. He sleep. The brother probably having a nightmare, because it tells you that he was asleep. A deep sleep. You understand? All right, so keep going.
I want to come. Verse 13. And he said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs.
That is a prophecy that is being told to him. He's having a great, horrible darkness fall upon him, because he is seeing his seed being in a stranger in a land that's not theirs. He's seeing us in Egypt. in bondage, getting whipped, starving in the ghetto. The Egyptians beating us. They throwing our babies in the damn river. Mind you, he's still looking for his heir. That's what him and the Most High was just talking about. He falling asleep, waiting on the promise, being faithful, obeying the Most High. He fall asleep, he getting the vision. He an old man trying to have his children. He's seeing some vision of the future generations of his lineage that's supposed to be, as the stars in heaven, so many of them. And it's a terrible vision. They in Egypt, they being mistreated and beaten, the starving to death. You understand? And, being abused, our babies getting killed and thrown in the river. This is what he's seeing. This is what it's describing. You understand? So keep going.
And shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years.
This is talking about Egypt. They shall afflict them 400 years. We're going to serve these strangers in a land, in their land. It's not our land, it's their land. So he got a vision of seeing us in captivity in Egypt. He didn't have all the specific details. His brother is asleep. He's having a horrible dream, but it's a vision from the Most High. You understand? Most dreams don't mean anything. This dream was a vision from the Lord. That's why it said he got a horrible, you understand, of great darkness fell upon him. All right. So keep going.
Verse 14. And also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge.
Meaning, yeah, they're going to have a horrible time there for 400 years, but I'm going to pass judgment on them. Keep going.
And afterward shall they come out with great substance.
But when they leave, they're going to have great substance. They're going to have great power, great wealth, great authority, and the reputation of them is going to be so great. It just said substance. So substance is their possession. They're going to have lots of gold and wealth. They're going to be there 400 years, and they're going to leave extremely wealthy after the Lord judges this nation. He didn't tell them which nation. He just said a nation, this is what's going to happen. Keep going.
Verse 15. And thou shalt go to thy fathers in peace.
Meaning you're going to go to your fathers in peace. That's slang. Meaning you're going to die. You're going to rest with your fathers. You are going to go in peace. You are not going into this 400 years of bondage. You are not. You're going to go and die. You're going to be in peace. You're going to rest with thy fathers. Meaning your spirit is going to come back to the Most High, and you are going to be waiting to be sent back to the earth again, because that's what happens when you die. Your spirit goes, it rests, then eventually you're reincarnated, you're born back, you're a brand new person, you're a baby, and some relatives down the line will be raising you as their son or their daughter. All right? Keep going.
Thou shalt be buried in a good old age.
You're going to be good and old when you're buried. You old now, but you're going to be good and old when you're buried. Don't sweat none of that. Keep going.
Verse 16. But in the fourth generation they shall come hither again.
They're going to come back in the fourth generation. A couple of generations, it's going to be terrible. In the fourth generations, they're going to come back again. So maybe in 4 generations, you'll come back. That's just that's somewhat insight into the cycles. You die a couple of generations later, you're born back again as a baby. That's how it works. That's how reincarnation works. That's why it says in the 4th generation, they shall come hither. Meaning 4 generations later, you'll be back. That's all. All right. That's what the Lord is saying. All right. So keep going.
For the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full.
The iniquity of who?
The Amorites.
The Amorites. Remember, who are the Amorites? The Amorites were just some of the people that he was confederate with. That's what I was explaining. That's why it's important you have your own. These are allies now, but remember, these are heathen. These are not your people. They agree with you now, but they might get tired of you doing all this winning. You understand? Everybody loves Michael Jordan now, but if I got to play Michael Jordan and he wins every damn year, I'm going to get sick of Michael Jordan. We can't never be the champion as long as Jordan wins every goddamn year. They're going to get tired of Michael Jordan. You understand? And that's only natural. It's 30 teams in the league. If you win every year, that means all of us have to lose. You understand? That's why it's important, and that you understand things of development. The Lord is telling him. Now, right now, the Amorites are allies, but later on, they're going to do some foul stuff. They're not going to be allies anymore. That's why he said the iniquity of them is not full yet. They're going to do something that they're going to have to pay for. Eventually, King David kills all the Amorites. He ends that entire nation of people. At one point in time, Abraham had an agreement with them. Later on down the line, the Lord gives the order, they all cease to exist. All right, so keep going.
Verse 17. And it came to pass that when the sun went down and it was dark, behold, a smoking furnace and a burning lamp that passed between those pieces.
A smoking furnace and a burning lamp. Seeing a fire, something burning in a smoking furnace between the pieces. Keep going.
Verse 18. In the same day, the Lord made a covenant with Abram, saying, Unto thy seed have I given this land, from the river of Egypt unto the great river, the river Euphrates.
That means everything from the river Egypt, which is probably talking about the Nile, I believe, all the way to the river Euphrates. If you look at a map, the river Euphrates goes very far. That Euphrates River used to go down, I believe, as far as Afghanistan at some point in time. All of that land was given to us a very, very, very long time ago. That Yemen, Saudi Arabia, and Turkey, all of that, these are the nations of people that the Lord is getting ready to name. These are the people that King David kills them all. Between Joshua and King David, they all get killed, and then that land belongs to us. They live there now in Abraham's time. The Lord is telling them, I'm making a covenant with you that all of that belongs to your children. So in the future, the sons that you're going to have, those sons from generations and generations, they're going to wipe these people out, because this land that they live on now, it does not belong to them. It belongs to your seed. These people who serve you now, that you are confederate with now, that take care of your horses now and tend your flocks and your cattle, eventually your children are going to have to get away from them. They're going to be your enemies. But today, I'll bless them because they bless you. And when they cross your seed, I will curse them for cursing you. Who the hell are they? I made a covenant with you. Who's going to stand against my covenant? They did, they died. The Lord is telling him what's going to happen. Just like the Bible says in Amos chapter 3 and verse 7, the Lord will do nothing except he reveal his secret unto his servants, the prophets. That's why he's telling Abraham or Abram what is going to happen before it happens. So go ahead, and their names are not important. All of these people, if you look them up, you'll see that if King David, Joshua, King Saul, they wiped out all of these people. The Amorites, the Canaanites, Girgashites, Jebusites, Hittites, Hivites. These are all the names. You see their names. We go to war with them. They get chased out the land. King David chased them in the mountain, kills them all. The men, the women, the children, grandma, granddaddy, their cattle, everything gets wiped out. The Lord wants them to cease to exist so that they don't ever come back generation after generation saying, this is our land. And we have to fight a war against these people 10, 15, 45 times for 200 goddamn years fighting the same people, which was why the Lord gave an order to King Saul to wipe out Amalek. And he did not wipe out Amalek. And because he did not wipe out Amalek, Amalek is still here to this very day, troubling our people. Had he done that, there would be no Amalek. Now imagine the amount of problems, just the problems we have now with the so-called Jewish man that owns our music, our record labels, all the tenement buildings, all the insurance and mortgage companies we got to pay to every week, every month. He owns all of it. Imagine the amount of problems we would have if the parasites Jebusites, Girgashites, Hittites, Hivites, if they were all still alive too, imagine how much more problems we would have. You understand? So that's just to put things into perspective because, you know, from the understanding of what we have about the Bible, the people who have taught us the Bible, who are Christians, who are pastors, who are imams, who are rastas, who are religious leaders, they are who taught us about the Bible, and they were wrong. They were wrong. They didn't understand the Bible. They didn't have the Spirit of the Lord. And now we can actually learn the proper, here we go, proper things. All right. That's what we need. Okay. Perfect. Perfect. All right. So with that, we're going to go ahead and end it there. All right. Clap it up. We're going to end it right there. All right. Most High in Christ. Let's get that. Just me up here. So let's get this. All right. Let's get this up. Okay. Isupk security announcements. You understand? All right. Isupk security announcements. Right. We at the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. We started out of 1 West 125th Street in Harlem, New York, and we are not affiliated with any other Israelite group. We're all under Commanding General Yohana. You understand? All right. You are not in the ISUPK. You are not in the truth. All right. Rule for new brother and sister. When a brother and sister comes into the school, they're off limits for 6 months. They're to be saluted only. They're here to shed themselves of the world and come into the truth. You understand? They're to be saluted only, shed themselves of the world. After that if they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After that 6-month period, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, they're to seek counsel from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There is an additional 6-month period in which the brother and sister will get permission to court each other. After this 6-month period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment, 10% of any penny of any increase the Most High gives to you means 10th in the Hebrew, Ma'ashara, Numbers chapter 18, verse 21, Malachi chapter 3, verses 8 through 10. You give right to ISUPK, give to the Treasury Department, go right to the website, pay it. Priest fund, free will offering for priests, not mandatory, whatsoever amount you would like to give. Upcoming holy convocations, you have this Monday, the closing of the Feast of Tabernacles. You understand? Commanding General Yohana will be in the Baltimore school. The 17th of October, Commander General Yohana will be live doing a radio show and broadcasting from the Baltimore school. You understand? All right. And lastly, if any brother wants to become a trooper in the school, it'll be in all black boots, shirt, pants, headband, war scarf. Contact the ISUPK school in whatever city and state that you're living in. Our numbers are publicly listed. All our social media sites, you can find them on Google, just like everywhere else, any place that you can look things up. And with that, we're going to give one courtesy salute. You understand? Ahmadim, which means to stand. We're going to give one courtesy salute. Men of Israel, Ahmadim Shabbat, Ibadim, Barak, Yahweh Hashem Rakatham, Sar, which means to turn. We're going to give one courtesy salute to the sisters. Sisters, Imadian, which means to stand. We're going to give one courtesy salute to the sisters, men of Israel, Ahmadim Shabbat, Imadian, Barak, Yahweh, Shamar, Al-Athan, by Hashem Yahushua, Yad Yamatah, which means hands down. Class dismissed. Right. All right. Most High in Christ. Be sure to check out our page, No Cowards Richmond, ISUPK Virginia. Leave your comments. The comments help the algorithm. Any ISUPK video that you see, just take a brief moment, hit that like, leave a brief comment. It greatly helps our algorithm so that the rest of our nation can come back. And with that, shalom.